There's really not words for it. I mean, this is a moment that we've been looking forward to for several months now, and to be finally here is just absolutely fantastic.
Well, the Navy's newest carrier, the USS Gerald R. Ford, has deployed from Naval Station Norfolk, and Ted on your side was there as several tugboats helped navigate this massive warship from the dock. It is the ship's second deployment. She's part of Carrier Strike Group 12, which also includes Air Wing 8, Destroyer Squadron 2, and the USS Normandy. More than 6,000 sailors are assigned to this group. Family members will have to spend more time away from their sailors.
He's emotional, but excited. I'm excited for him to reach all the ports, wherever he goes. He's just excited to travel.
Our operations will include maritime security, freedom of navigation, and reinforcing our strategic relationships as we continue to enhance capacity, interoperability, and interchangeability with our NATO allies.
The Ford was commissioned in July of 2017. The Navy had problems with the arresting cable system and had to make some adjustments before the ship was deemed mission ready. Head to WAVY.com to see all of our previous coverage on board the Ford.
Sailors aboard USS Gerald R. Ford deployed from Norfolk earlier this month, along with a special pup. This is Sage. Aww. So Sage is a 3-year-old female yellow Labrador retriever who is part of a canine pilot program trained to help sailors cope with stress. Gerald R. Ford will be the first U.S. Navy ship to have a canine in this program as part of the crew throughout the deployment. Sage was raised by Mutts with a Mission in Virginia Beach, another great organization out there.
Oh, and she's such a good girl. We can just tell.
Norfolk-based USS Gerald R. Ford left Norway this past weekend. The U.S. carrier was participating in military exercises with allies. If you remember, Russia was not happy when they learned Ford was in Norway last month. A Russian embassy spokesperson told a French news agency it was, quote, a show of force. They called it illogical and harmful. The visit comes at a time of tension between Russia and the West during the ongoing war in Ukraine.
The Norfolk-based USS Gerald R. Ford will stay in the Mediterranean Sea for several more weeks. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin ordered the carrier to stay in place as the war between Israel and Hamas continues. This is the third time the crew's deployment has been extended. The Norfolk-based cruiser USS Normandy was also approved for an extended deployment. The Pentagon wants 2 carriers in the area. The USS Dwight D. Eisenhower is also in the Eastern Med.
At 5:33 this Monday morning, more of our military friends, family, and neighbors are coming back after a long-awaited homecoming.
That's right. Members of the Ford Carrier Strike Group expected to land at NAS Oceana today. And at Naval Station Norfolk, we can expect a visit from one of the top leaders of the Navy. 10 on your side's Brett Hall is live at Naval Station Norfolk with what we know, as well as some happy moments from yesterday. Hey, Brett, good morning.
Good morning, Katie and Madison. Yes, indeed, a lot of people will likely be smiling across the region today, as well as throughout the week, as more than 5,000 sailors that have been on deployment for 8 months come home. Now, today we can expect, and you might expect to see if you're near NAS Oceana, the squadrons of the Raging Bulls, Black Lions, Golden Warriors, and Tomcats return home. And again, we'll have crews there to see those homecomings. But let's take you to yesterday, to Chambers Field at Naval Station Norfolk. That's where 2 squadrons came home, known as the Rawhides and the Bear Aces. They returned after being on as part of the USS Gerald R. Ford Strike Group. Lots of emotions. Now, the deployment of the Ford was extended because of the ongoing conflict in Israel and the Gaza Strip. Listen to this. The Carrier Air Wing flew well over 10,000 sorties. That's one mission or attack by a single plane. And then that's in addition to clocking almost 18,000 flight hours and completing almost 9,000 aircraft launches and recoveries.
There's really not words for it. I mean, this is a moment that we've been looking forward to for several months now. And to be finally here is just absolutely fantastic.
And there's a lot more where that came from. Again, today, top brass in the U.S. Navy is going to be going out to the Ford as it steams back home. More on that in our next half hour. Live outside Naval Station Norfolk. Brett Hall, 10 on your side.
Our men and women in uniform who serve alongside USS Gerald R. Ford are returning home. The Carrier Strike Group deployment was extended amid mounting tensions in the Middle East. Today, the Secretary of the Navy was aboard the aircraft carrier. Our Michelle Wolf shares his message.
Secretary of the Navy Carlos Del Toro thanked the men and women of Carrier Strike Group 12 and reinforced the importance of keeping the peace overseas. A quiet and near-empty flight deck aboard the USS Gerald R. Ford after 8 months at sea.
They have protected our national security interests in the Mediterranean, the Baltic, and the Atlantic, and they have performed superbly on every level.
Secretary Del Toro addressed the sailors on board Monday, commending them on a job well done. The Ford, the Navy's newest aircraft carrier, has just completed its first full deployment and peacekeeping mission overseas.
You know, so many people across the United States in our shipyards and in our Navy should be filled with pride as this ship pulls back into Norfolk, Virginia.
It's been nearly 100 days since the Israel-Hamas war began. Overseas tension extended Carrier Strike Group 12's homecoming by 3 months.
It was a little hectic sometimes, not knowing when you're going home, but to know that you got people around you that were all in the same boat, literally. It's good to have people around you to support you and to support each other.
Everything has a purpose, and the power that's projected by the Carrier Strike Group is essential to the defense of our own nation, to the defense of our very own core values. It represents America across the entire globe.
The Ford will return to Naval Station Norfolk along with the remainder of the strike group later this week. In Norfolk, Michelle Wolf, 10 on your side.
Well, now to more homecomings in Hampton Roads today. A helicopter squadron touched down ahead of tomorrow's arrival of the USS Gerald R. Ford Strike Group.
And 10 on your side's Kiana Patterson gives us a look at these long overdue hugs. Kiana?
Oh yes, the cold was no match for these families. They were so excited to run into the arms of their loved ones after not seeing them for months, and some of them seeing their babies for the first time since birth. Home is where the helo is. As the families of Helicopter Sea Combat Squadron 9 brave the cold temperatures, praying for the safe return of their loved ones. And as soon as the Tridents land, these families running into their arms after an 8-month deployment with the USS Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group.
It feels good to be home.
Naval Air Crewman Daniel Mullins is surprised by just how big his son is now.
He's 8 months. He was born in May, so he got to stay behind for the first few weeks and then he had to leave.
Aviation machinist mate Mackenzie Reynolds says she couldn't wait to be reunited with her 2 daughters.
I missed her so much, her and her sister. It's my first deployment since having kids, so it's been a long time. It was hard. It's hard mentally, and it's hard physically because I don't get to be there every day with them, but now I get to be home.
The Trident's primary mission was search and rescue, but often supporting the Ford, making sure the Carrier Strike Group had supplies, and working with NATO allies aboard the Ford, with the deployment extended to assist in the Mediterranean Sea.
I honestly believe the Tridents managed to persevere just based on a positive attitude and staying together as kind of our second family on board the ship throughout the holidays.
This is the commanding officer Robert Anderson's 4th deployment.
On my last deployment, I came home to my son having been born while I was on deployment. So nice this time to come home, have him be a little bit bigger.
Now this husband and wife team are looking forward to more family time.
And honestly, at this point, it's just spending time with family. So just relaxing back at home, kind of reintegrating and spending time together.
And the Ford is expected to return tomorrow along with thousands of sailors. 10 on your side's Nick Broadway will have full coverage of that homecoming tomorrow. Kiana Patterson, 10 on your side.
A big story today. Today is the 4th day in a row for naval homecomings, and it is a big one. After more than 8 months away in the Mediterranean, USS Gerald R. Ford is finally home. The ship docked around 9:30 this morning. While the ship was deployed in the Mediterranean, the strike group participated in exercises that increased NATO capability. The flagship visited ports in Croatia, Greece, Italy, Norway, and Turkey. The deployment was extended 76 days following the Israel-Hamas conflict and operated in the Mediterranean Sea.
Also tonight, back from a deployment that took them into harm's way. The crew of the USS Gerald R. Ford is back in Hampton Roads.
Gratitude and relief for thousands of military families. The carrier and its crew pulled into Naval Station Norfolk this morning, and Chopper 10 captured the moments after the carrier arrived at port. A big mission that turned even bigger when the war in Israel broke out. Ted on Your Side was on the ground as well, and our Ashley Knight has more.
Families and loved ones welcoming home USS Gerald R. Ford with cold hands but warm hearts and just happy to have their loved ones home. Some coming home to new family members. Jana Dillon found out she was pregnant 1 week after her husband Raymond deployed. Today was her due date, but little Eleanor just couldn't wait.
She's 5 days old today, but we were really hoping that we could make it. We kept crossing our fingers, crossing our legs, but she had her own plans.
It's a shock. It's almost unrealistic that it happened.
A growing family, which he says makes deployment more difficult.
Having a family this time, actually. My last one, I didn't have kids, so I think that was the hardest thing, was having kids and being away from them.
For others, relationships are just beginning.
This was our first year together, so we spent most of it apart, but yeah, we're gonna start our future now.
How does it feel to be back?
Incredible. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Words can't put how happy I am to be home.
Homecomings are usually emotional, but this one seemed more so, given it was delayed by an extra 76 days following the conflict in Israel when the Ford sailed to the Mediterranean Sea. Overall, the Ford sailed more than 83,000 nautical miles. While in the Mediterranean, they intercepted several attack drones and missiles.
But I couldn't be prouder of both what we did as mariners and aviators, but also what we did as human beings.
Morale was high. We had some tough times, but we all came together and we got through it.
Now safely home and switching gears.
If it weren't for these people right here, I wouldn't have been able to do it.
They'll be on leave for about 2 weeks before coming back to the Ford. At Naval Station Norfolk, Ashley Knight, 10 on your side. All right, and finally, the last of the ships with the USS Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group, they are home. This morning, we saw a heartwarming scene as the USS Normandy pulled into Naval Station Norfolk. 10 on your side's Raven Payne has that story.
It was another day of hugs, kisses, and big smiles at Naval Station Norfolk. Today, families were met with a welcome sight. Their loved ones aboard the USS Normandy finally coming back home. All this week, we've seen service members finally being reunited with their families. This is after an over 8-month-long deployment with the USS Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group. The USS Normandy was the final unit to return home this morning.
I'm just excited. I have no words.
The USS Gerald R. Ford came back home on Wednesday. It was a relief for Jamie Harkins to finally see her husband again, telling us the deployment extension was a surprise.
I mean, we weren't expecting it, so I think that's even worse. If you're expecting it, you can kind of plan, but the unknown is difficult. We saved all his gifts, yes, and he missed his birthday, so he gets a bunch of things to celebrate.
Mike Leonard said his wife was on the Ford. Even though they missed many holidays and celebrations, they have plans to make it all up.
It's going to be amazing. Yeah, we're going to do Christmas, Thanksgiving, birthdays. Yeah, we missed a lot this year.
Like many other families welcoming home their loved ones that day, Mike's first stop was to enjoy some local food with his wife.
We're going to go get a good dinner. I think we're going to go downtown Norfolk and get some good food tonight.
And now that our service members are back home, the Ford will go through a round of maintenance before the next training phase. Raven Payne, 10 on your side.